How to spot demons. Hidden in friends and family. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with someone you love, but instead of feeling uplifted, you feel drained, confused, small? Have you ever had a friend or a family member whose words, disguised as care, felt more like criticism? Whose help felt more like control? These relationships are the great paradox of our lives. They are our deepest source of joy and our most profound source of pain. We are bound to these people by love, by loyalty, by shared history. And it is because of these sacred bonds that we so often ignore the quiet alarm bells ringing in our spirit. We make excuses. We tell ourselves we're being too sensitive. We endure patterns of behavior that, if they came from a stranger, we would immediately recognize as unhealthy. What if I told you that these confusing, painful dynamics are not always just a matter of clashing personalities? What if there's something deeper at work? A hidden force, a destructive pattern that can operate through the people we love, often without their conscious knowledge? The ancients had a name for these destructive forces. They called them demons. Now, before you click away, this is not a journey into horror movies or superstition. We are not talking about monstrous entities with horns and pitchforks. We are talking about something far more subtle, far more common, and far more relevant to your daily life. We are talking about the real-life demons of negativity, trauma, manipulation, and control that can take root within a person and poison their relationships from the inside out. Today, we are going to learn how to spot these hidden demons, not to condemn the people they inhabit, but to protect our own peace. This is a journey of discernment, not judgment. It is about learning to recognize what is unhealthy so you can guard your own heart. It is about empowering yourself to set boundaries with courage and love, and it is about finally understanding why some of your most important relationships leave you feeling more wounded than whole. Prepare to look at your life, your family, and your friendships with a new level of clarity. This is your guide on how to spot the demons hidden in friends and family, and how to reclaim your inner peace. Number 1, what are demons in real life? To begin this journey, we must first redefine our terms. The word demon is loaded with centuries of cultural and religious baggage. For our purposes, it's essential that we strip away the frightening, supernatural imagery and look at the functional reality of what these forces represent in our everyday lives. Think of a demon not as a being, but as a destructive program. It's like a malicious piece of code running in the operating system of a person's mind and spirit. The person is the hardware, the beautiful, God-given human being. But the program is a virus. It operates in the background, influencing their thoughts, driving their behaviors, and dictating their emotional responses, often without them even realizing it's there. This demonic program is not a person's true self. It is a parasitic entity made of energy and consciousness. Where does it come from? It is born from unhealed wounds. It is the energy of deep-seated trauma from a painful childhood. It is the voice of a crippling insecurity that whispers, "You are not enough." It is the gnawing hunger of an unmet need for love and validation. It is the cold grip of a paralyzing fear of abandonment or rejection. It is the bitter poison of a long-held resentment that has never been released. These raw, unhealed emotional energies coalesce over time into a powerful, autonomous pattern. This pattern's primary goal is survival. Like any parasite, it needs to feed. And it feeds on negative emotional energy, fear, guilt, shame, anger, and drama. So, the program's job is to create circumstances that will generate its food source. This is why a person operating from this demonic wound pattern will often unconsciously provoke arguments, create chaos, or manipulate others into feeling bad. They are not necessarily a bad person. The person may love you dearly, but the program running within them needs to feed on negative energy to survive. Let's use an analogy. Imagine a beautiful, healthy rose bush. This is the person's true self. Now imagine a parasitic vine, like a morning glory, has wrapped itself around the rose bush. The vine is not the bush, but it uses the bush for its structure and survival. It chokes the light, steals the nutrients, and prevents the roses from blooming to their full potential. From a distance, you might not even be able to tell where the bush ends and the vine begins. They are completely enmeshed. The vine is the demon. It is the pattern of unhealed trauma and fear. The person you love is the rose bush, often being choked and controlled by this parasitic growth. So, when we talk about spotting demons, we are learning to distinguish the vine from the rose bush. We are learning to see the difference between our loved one's true, higher self and the destructive, wound-based program that is currently running their life. This distinction is the key to compassion. It allows us to stop taking their behavior so personally. When your mother criticizes you, you can learn to see it's not truly your mother speaking, but her insecurity demon that needs to make others feel small to feel safe. When your friend constantly creates drama, you can recognize that it's their abandonment demon, desperately seeking attention to validate its existence. This is not an excuse for their behavior. They are still responsible for their actions and for their own healing. But it is an explanation that frees us. It moves us from a place of hurt and reaction, "Why are they doing this to me?" to a place of compassionate discernment. I see the pattern that is operating through them. These real-life demons are patterns of behavior that are repetitive. They happen over and over again. Reactive. They are triggered by specific situations. Irrational. They often produce an emotional response that is disproportionate to the situation. Controlling. They seek to dominate and manipulate others. Understanding this framework is the first step toward empowerment. You are not fighting your loved one. You are dealing with a destructive pattern that has taken root within them. And you do not have to let that pattern control you, drain you, or destroy your peace. Number 2, hidden negativity in close circles. Destructive patterns are infinitely easier to spot in strangers or casual acquaintances. When a coworker is manipulative or a distant relative is constantly critical, we can see the behavior with a certain amount of clarity. We can label it as unhealthy and keep our distance. But when the very same patterns manifest in our closest circles, our parents, our siblings, our spouse, our best friend, a thick fog of love, loyalty, and history descends, making everything difficult to see. The negativity is hidden, not because it is subtle, but because our own hearts refuse to acknowledge it. Why is it so hard to see the demons in the people we love most? 1. The blinder of love and loyalty. Love is a powerful, beautiful, and necessary force, but it can also be a blinder. We love this person. We know their good qualities. We have shared wonderful memories with them. Our hearts want to believe the best of them. So, when they exhibit toxic behavior, our mind immediately jumps to their defense. She doesn't really mean it. She's just stressed. He had a tough childhood. That's just how he is. But they are so good to me sometimes. We create a narrative that excuses the behavior because the alternative, admitting that someone we love is consistently hurting us, is too painful to contemplate. Loyalty, a noble virtue, can become a chain that ties us to unhealthy dynamics. We feel that recognizing their flaws would be a betrayal, so we choose to betray ourselves and our own feelings instead. 2. The normalization of dysfunction. If you grow up in a system, that system becomes your normal. For many of us, the patterns of manipulation, criticism, and emotional volatility we now face are the very same patterns we were raised with. We don't recognize them as demonic or toxic because they are familiar. They feel like home. A child who grew up with a constantly critical parent will often subconsciously seek out a critical spouse because that dynamic, while painful, is what their nervous system understands as love. We may complain about the behavior, but on a deep level, we don't see it as abnormal. We have no frame of reference for what a truly healthy, respectful, and supportive relationship feels like. The water is poisoned, but since it's the only water we've ever known, we don't realize we're being poisoned. 3. The disguise of care in close relationships. The most insidious negativity often comes disguised as love and care. This is what makes it so confusing. Criticism is framed as helping you improve. I'm only telling you this for your own good. That dress really doesn't flatter you. Control is framed as worrying about you. Are you sure you should take that job? I just worry you're making a mistake. Let me tell you what you should do instead. Manipulation is framed as being sensitive. When you try to set a boundary, they say, I can't believe you would say that to me after all I've done for you. You're so ungrateful. This leaves us in a state of cognitive dissonance. Their stated intention is love, but the feeling we get is one of being controlled, diminished, or guilt-tripped. Our spirit feels the sting, but our mind gets caught in the logic of their care. We end up questioning ourselves. Maybe I am being ungrateful. Maybe they do know what's best for me. This is a classic tactic of these hidden demons, to make you doubt your own sanity and perception of reality. This is gaslighting, and it thrives in the fertile ground of family and friendship. 4. The energy vampire phenomenon. Often, the negativity is not in overt, dramatic actions, but in a subtle, energetic drain. We call people who do this energy vampires. These are the friends or family members who dominate every conversation. The entire time is spent on their problems, their dramas, their successes. They rarely ask about you, and if they do, they quickly turn the conversation back to themselves. Are chronically negative. They complain constantly about their life, their job, the world. They see the problem in every solution. Thrive on drama. If there is no crisis, they will create one. They seem to feed on chaos and emotional intensity. You hang up the phone or leave their house not feeling angry or hurt, but simply exhausted. You feel like you've run a marathon. Your energy, your optimism, your very life force has been depleted. This is a telltale sign that you have been in the presence of a pattern that feeds on the positive energy of others. Recognizing this hidden negativity is the first step out of the fog. It requires courage. It requires you to honor your own feelings above the comfortable narratives you've created. It requires you to be willing to see the truth, even when it's painful. The fog is thick, but your inner spirit knows the way. It's time to start listening to its signals. Number 3, how to recognize toxic behaviors. Once we are willing to look past the fog of love and loyalty, we can begin to identify the specific behaviors that are the signatures of these destructive, demonic patterns. These are not isolated incidents or occasional bad moods. These are consistent, repetitive patterns of interaction that leave you feeling worse, not better. Learning to recognize these behaviors is like learning to identify poisonous plants in the forest. It is a crucial skill for your survival and well-being. Let's name and define some of the most common toxic behaviors that signal a destructive pattern at play. 1. Gaslighting, the assault on your sanity. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious and damaging forms of emotional abuse. Its goal is to make you doubt your own perceptions, your memory, and your sanity. A person who gaslights is rewriting history to fit their narrative and to avoid taking responsibility. They say, "That never happened. You're making things up." They say, "You're being crazy, too sensitive, overly emotional." They say, "I was only joking. You can't take a joke?" after saying something cruel. They do. They deny promises they made. They will tell you that you said or did things you know you never said or did. The demon at play. The gaslighting pattern is driven by a deep-seated fear of being wrong or being seen as flawed. It is a desperate attempt to control the narrative and maintain a position of power. Its primary goal is to make you so confused and unsure of yourself that you become easier to control. 2. The victim mentality, the black hole of blame. This is the pattern of the person for whom nothing is ever their fault. They are a perpetual victim of circumstances, of other people, of life's unfairness. They refuse to take responsibility for their own happiness or their own problems. They say, "If only someone else would change, then I could be happy." They say, "Look what you made me do." They do. They constantly complain and seek pity. They use their past wounds as a permanent excuse for their present behavior. They trap you in endless cycles of trying to rescue them, a task that is impossible because they are not looking for a solution. They are looking for a scapegoat. The demon at play. The victim pattern is rooted in a profound fear of personal responsibility. It is a way to get attention and energy from others without having to do the hard work of personal growth. It is a form of manipulation that uses pity as its currency. 3. Constant criticism, the soul killer. This goes far beyond occasional constructive feedback. This is a relentless, soul-crushing pattern of negativity, fault-finding, and judgment. Nothing you ever do is quite right or good enough. They say, "You got an A? Why not an A+?" They say, "That's a nice dinner, but you used a little too much salt." They do. They deliver backhanded compliments. "You look so great. I almost didn't recognize you." They offer unsolicited advice on every aspect of your life, from your parenting to your finances, implying that you are incapable of managing your own affairs. The demon at play. The critical pattern is almost always a projection. It is driven by the person's own savage inner critic and deep-seated insecurity. By focusing on your perceived flaws, they get a temporary relief from facing their own. They need to make others feel small in order to feel big. 4. Emotional volatility. Walking on eggshells. This is the pattern that creates an environment of constant anxiety and uncertainty. You never know which version of the person you are going to get. They can be loving and fun one minute, and then fly into a rage, or descend into a stony silence the next, often for no apparent reason. You feel a constant tension in their presence, a need to carefully manage your words and actions to avoid setting them off. You find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do just to keep the peace. They do. They use their moods to control the entire emotional atmosphere of the home or the relationship. Everyone is forced to revolve around their emotional state. The demon at play. This pattern is about power and control. It is rooted in an inability to self-regulate emotions. By keeping you off balance and constantly guessing, they maintain control of the dynamic. You become so focused on managing their emotions that you lose touch with your own. 5. Guilt tripping. The weapon of obligation. This is a favorite tool of manipulators in close relationships. It uses your love, your sense of duty, or your past history against you. They say, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" They say, "Fine, go have fun with your friends. I'll just stay here all alone." They do. They will sigh dramatically. They will bring up past favors they did for you to make you feel indebted. They use your conscience as a weapon against you. The demon at play. The guilt-tripping pattern is driven by a deep fear of abandonment and a need for control. It is unable to ask for what it wants directly, so it uses manipulation to coerce you into doing its will. It makes love and care feel like a heavy debt that can never be fully repaid. Recognizing these specific behaviors is like turning on the light in a dark room. Suddenly, the confusing, shadowy shapes you've been bumping into are revealed for what they are. You can stop blaming yourself. You can see the pattern clearly. And once you can see it, you can begin to make new choices about how you will interact with it. Number 4. Emotional triggers and their meaning. We have spent time looking outward, identifying the toxic behaviors that signal a destructive pattern in others. Now, we must turn our attention inward. Because one of the most powerful and reliable tools you have for spotting these hidden demons is your own emotional and physical response system. Your feelings are not random. They are not a sign of weakness or oversensitivity. Your feelings are a sophisticated, God-given guidance system. They are the dashboard lights of your soul. When a warning light comes on in your car, you don't ignore it or blame the car for being too sensitive. You recognize it as important information that requires your attention. It's time to start treating your own emotional triggers with that same level of respect. An emotional trigger is a strong, often negative, emotional reaction to a person's words or actions that is disproportionate to the immediate situation. It's that sudden wave of anger, that pit of anxiety in your stomach, that immediate feeling of shame or guilt. These triggers are not just about the present moment. They are signals that a deeper, unresolved wound within you has been touched. But they are also powerful indicators that you are in the presence of an unhealthy dynamic. So, how do you feel really when you are around this particular friend or family member? Let's decode what your emotional triggers are trying to tell you. If you consistently feel drained, this is the classic sign of the energy vampire. You may start the interaction feeling fine, even happy, but you end it feeling depleted, tired, and empty. This is your body's way of telling you that your life force is literally being siphoned off. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. They involve a mutual exchange of energy. If you are consistently the one giving, and they are consistently the one taking, your body will sound the exhaustion alarm. The demon at play is a pattern of neediness that feeds on the vitality of others. If you consistently feel anxious or fearful, this is the walking on eggshells feeling. Your nervous system is on high alert. Your shoulders are tense, your breathing is shallow, your stomach is in knots. This is your body's primal fear response. It is telling you that this person is not a safe space for you. You are anticipating an attack, a criticism, an outburst of anger, a manipulative comment. This anxiety is a clear signal that you are in a relationship with someone who is emotionally unpredictable and unsafe. The demon at play is a pattern of control that thrives on keeping you in a state of fear. If you consistently feel small or invisible, you go into the conversation feeling like a competent, intelligent adult, and you leave feeling like a foolish, insignificant child. Your opinions were dismissed, your accomplishments were minimized, and the conversation was completely dominated by them. This feeling of being diminished is a sign that you are dealing with a narcissistic or highly critical pattern. The demon at play is an insecurity so vast that it must belittle others to feel its own worth. It cannot stand to see your light shine because it is terrified of its own darkness. If you consistently feel guilty or overly responsible, you find yourself constantly apologizing, even when you've done nothing wrong. You feel a heavy sense of responsibility for their happiness, their problems, and their emotional state. If they are unhappy, you feel it is somehow your fault. This is a telltale sign of being in a relationship with a manipulator or someone with a victim mentality. The demon at play is a pattern that avoids personal responsibility by making you carry its load. It has conditioned you to believe that their feelings are your fault. If you consistently feel angry or resentful, you might suppress it, but underneath the surface, you feel a simmering rage or a deep-seated bitterness toward this person. This anger is often a secondary emotion. It is a protective shield that your spirit puts up to guard against being hurt. The anger is a sign that a fundamental boundary has been repeatedly violated. It is your soul screaming, "No more! You have crossed a line." This anger, if you listen to it, is a powerful fuel for change. It is telling you that you are being devalued and disrespected, and it is time to stand up for yourself. Your body and your emotions do not lie. They are your most honest and trustworthy friends. For years, you may have been telling yourself a story. This relationship is fine. I'm just being diffa. But your body has been telling you a different story all along. The invitation here is to start a new practice. After an interaction with a person you suspect is unhealthy for you, take a moment. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and scan your body. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? Don't judge it. Don't analyze it. Just notice it. Your triggers are your teachers. They are pointing to the places within you that need healing. Yes, but they are also pointing, like a giant, flashing neon arrow, to the unhealthy dynamics and the hidden demons in your relationships. It's time to stop ignoring the warning lights. It's time to trust yourself. Number 5, protecting your inner peace. Recognizing the hidden negativity and understanding your emotional triggers is a crucial awakening. But awareness alone is not enough. If you simply become aware that a relationship is toxic, but do nothing to change your interaction with it, you will only feel more helpless and resentful. The next step is to move from awareness to action. This is the part where you learn to become the guardian of your own soul, the protector of your inner peace. You cannot change the other person. You cannot remove the demonic pattern that operates through them. That is their journey, their work to do. But you can, and you must, take responsibility for your own innerut and your own well-being. Protecting your inner peace is not a selfish act. It is a sacred one. Your peace is the soil in which your relationship with God, your creativity, and your joy can grow. If you allow others to constantly trample on that soil and poison it with their negativity, you will have nothing left to give to yourself, to God, or to the healthy people in your life. Here are some practical, powerful strategies for protecting your inner peace in the face of toxic dynamics. 1. Build your spiritual immune system. Just as your physical body has an immune system to fight off viruses, your spirit needs an immune system to fight off negative energy. You cannot wait until you are in the middle of a toxic interaction to try and protect yourself. You must build your spiritual resilience every single day. Daily practice. This means starting your day with practices that fill you up before the world has a chance to drain you. This could be prayer, meditation, reading inspired texts, journaling, or spending time in nature. This is non-negotiable. You are filling your own well so that when an energy vampire tries to drink from it, you are not left empty. Know your truth. Spend time reinforcing your own sense of self-worth and identity. Use affirmations. I am a beloved child of God. My peace is my power. I am not responsible for other people's happiness. When you are deeply rooted in your own truth, the winds of another person's criticism or manipulation cannot so easily knock you over. 2. Practice energetic shielding. This is a conscious act of managing your own energy field. It may sound mystical, but it is a powerful psychological and spiritual tool. Before an interaction, before you see or speak to a person you know is draining, take a moment to visualize a shield of protective light around you. Imagine it like a semi-permeable membrane. Love can flow out from you, but negativity, criticism, and toxic energy cannot penetrate. See their words and their energy hitting this shield and harmlessly sliding off. This simple act of intention can dramatically change how you experience the interaction. During an interaction, stay grounded in your own body. Feel your feet on the floor. Pay attention to your own breathing. This keeps you from being pulled out of your own center and into their whirlwind of drama and anxiety. When they start a negative monologue, you can listen, but you don't have to absorb. Imagine their words as clouds passing by in the sky. You can observe them without becoming them. 3. Master the art of the gray rock. Energy vampires and drama addicts feed on emotional reactions. Your anger, your hurt, your defensiveness, this is their food. The gray rock method is about making yourself as boring and uninteresting as a gray rock. What it looks like, you become unresponsive to their provocations. You give short, non-committal answers. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. I see. You don't share personal information. You don't argue or defend yourself. You make your energy and your conversation completely bland. Why it works. A parasite cannot feed on a rock. When you refuse to give them the emotional reaction they are seeking, they get bored. Their pattern has nothing to feed on, and they will often lose interest and move on to find a more reactive target. This is not about being rude. It is a sophisticated strategy for disengaging from a toxic dance. 4. Create a post-interaction cleansing ritual. Sometimes, no matter how much you shield yourself, you will still walk away feeling slimed by a negative interaction. It is vital to have a ritual to cleanse your energy field and reclaim your peace. This could be taking a walk in nature, listening to high-vibration music, taking a shower or bath with the intention of washing away the negative energy, calling a supportive, healthy friend to debrief, journaling about the experience to get it out of your system. The key is to consciously and intentionally release their energy and call your own energy back to you. Do not carry their negativity with you for the rest of your day. Protecting your peace is an active, ongoing practice. It is about recognizing that you are the sovereign ruler of your own inner kingdom. You have the right and the responsibility to decide what and who you allow within its gates. You cannot control what others do, but you have absolute power over how you respond and how you manage your own sacred space. Number 6. Setting boundaries with courage. Protecting your inner peace through energetic and mental practices is essential. But there comes a point where internal work must be matched by external action. There comes a time when you must find your voice and set clear, firm, and loving boundaries. For many of us, this is the most terrifying step of all. We are conditioned to be nice, to keep the peace, to not rock the boat, especially with family. The fear of confrontation, of hurting someone's feelings, of being seen as selfish or mean, can be paralyzing. But we must redefine what a boundary is. A boundary is not a wall you build to manage someone. A boundary is a fence you build to protect the sacred garden of your own life. It does not say, "I hate you." It says, "I love myself." It is a declaration of what you will and will not accept in your life. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. And it is absolutely necessary when dealing with the destructive patterns we have been discussing. Setting boundaries is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. It requires courage, clarity, and practice. Step 1. Get clear on your no. Before you can communicate a boundary, you must be crystal clear with yourself about what it is. You cannot set a fuzzy boundary. Take some time to think and journal. What specific behavior is no longer acceptable to you? Example: I am no longer willing to listen to my mother criticize my parenting. Example: I will no longer engage in conversations where my brother is gossiping about other family members. Example: I will no longer lend my sister money. Example: I will no longer answer phone calls from my father after 9 p.m. Be specific. Your clarity is your power. Step 2. Communicate the boundary calmly and simply. A boundary is not a dramatic, angry speech. It is a calm, firm statement of fact. You do not need to over-explain, justify, or apologize for your boundary. The more you explain, the more you give the other person ammunition to argue with you. Use I statements instead of, "You are always so critical of my kids. You need to stop it." Try, "Mom, I love you, but I am no longer willing to discuss my parenting choices with you. If the topic comes up, I will change the subject." Instead of, "You're such a gossip. I'm sick of it." Try, "John, I value our relationship, but I am not comfortable talking about other people in a negative way. I'm going to have to stop this conversation. State the boundary, and if necessary, state the consequence if the boundary is violated. Step 3. Prepare for the pushback, the extinction burst. This is the most important part. When you change the rules of a dysfunctional relationship, the system will go into chaos. The demonic pattern in the other person will not give up its control easily. It will fight back hard. This is called an extinction burst. The behavior will get worse before it gets better. They will test you. They will immediately try to cross the boundary you just set to see if you are serious. They will get angry. How dare you speak to me like that? They will guilt trip you. I can't believe how selfish you've become. They will play the victim. I guess I'm just a terrible parent then. I can't do anything right. They may recruit others, flying monkeys. They will complain to other family members about how mean you are being, trying to get them on their side to pressure you. Expect this. This is a sign that your boundary is working. The pattern is panicking because it is losing its power over you. Step 4. Hold the line. This is where your courage is forged. Your job is not to manage their reaction. Your job is to calmly uphold the consequence you stated. If you told your mom you would change the subject, and she brings up your parenting again, you say calmly, "As I said, I'm not discussing this." So, did you see that new movie that just came out? If she persists, you uphold the next level of consequence. "Mom, I can tell this is not a good time for us to talk. I'm going to go now. I'll call you another day. I love you. Bye." And you hang up. This is not punishment. This is training. You are teaching people how you expect to be treated. Setting boundaries is terrifying at first. Your hands will shake. Your heart will pound. But every time you do it, you are building a muscle of self-respect. You are taking your power back. And you are creating the possibility for a new, healthier kind of relationship. Some people will eventually learn to respect your boundaries, and the relationship can be transformed. Others will not, and you may need to create more distance to protect your peace. But either way, you will be free. Number 7. Final thoughts and personal empowerment. We have journeyed together into some of the most difficult and often hidden territory of the human heart. We have given a name to the destructive patterns that can operate through the people we love, and we have laid out a path toward freedom and peace. As we conclude, it is essential to hold two seemingly contradictory truths in perfect balance: fierce self-protection and deep compassion. This work is not about cutting people off in anger. It is not about creating a list of enemies or labeling your loved ones as evil. On the contrary, this journey of discernment should ultimately lead to a more profound and mature kind of love. The truth is, people who are run by these demonic patterns of negativity and control are in deep pain. As we have discussed, these patterns are born from their own unhealed wounds. The mother who criticizes you was likely criticized relentlessly as a child. The friend who creates drama is likely terrified of being abandoned. Their toxic behavior is a tragic and dysfunctional coping mechanism. It is the only way they know how to navigate the world. Seeing this allows for compassion. You can look at their behavior and think, that is not who they truly are. That is their wound speaking, and I can have compassion for the wounded person underneath. But, and this is the crucial part that we so often get wrong, compassion does not mean toleration. You can have compassion for their pain, while simultaneously refusing to allow that pain to poison your own life. You can love the person while setting a firm boundary with their destructive pattern. In fact, setting a boundary is often the most compassionate thing you can do. By refusing to participate in their dysfunctional dance, you are holding up a mirror to their behavior. You are giving them an opportunity to see the consequences of their actions. You are creating a space where, if they are ever ready, they can choose to heal. As long as you keep enabling their pattern by tolerating it, they have no incentive to change. Your boundary can be a catalyst for their own awakening. This journey is ultimately about personal empowerment. For too long, you may have felt like a victim of your relationships, tossed about on the waves of other people's moods and manipulations. The message today is that you are not a victim. You are a sovereign being with the power and the right to create a life of peace, joy, and spiritual health. You have the power of awareness to see the patterns clearly. You have the power of discernment to trust your own emotional guidance system. You have the power of intention to protect your own sacred inner space. And you have the power of your voice to set boundaries that honor your own well-being. This is your life. It is a precious and sacred gift from God. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not required to drink poison just because someone you love is serving it. Take the insights from this journey and begin to apply them. One small, courageous step at a time. Be patient with yourself. This is the work of a lifetime. But it is the most important work you will ever do. It is the work of reclaiming your spirit. It is the work of choosing peace. It is the work of learning to love others without losing yourself. And that is the path to true and lasting freedom.